into the latest episode, Captain Madden Show here for the beginning part of October 3rd. This will be hitting your earwaves. So yeah, we're trudging along in the fall here. Mike Madden on my end. I've got the Captain, Michael Corby, on his end. Captain, welcome aboard the show program.
Mike, can we get through this one real quick? Because I gotta mentally prepare myself for Taylor Swift's new album drops at midnight, and I don't know how we're gonna focus on this.
I thought you were trying to focus on the Yankee Red Sox playoff.
There are things
deciding
bigger. There's nothing bigger in this world than a Taylor Swift album. Apparently, somewhere in there's lyrics that if you put them together, it's the key to solving all of the world's problems.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
her music has become something bigger than. It's almost bigger than Jesus.
It's
bigger than John Lennon.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. It can't be. It can't be bigger than John Lennon. It can't be bigger than the Beatles. The Beatles are bigger than Jesus. That's their thing.
Yes.
Is this going to hurt our podcasting numbers or?
Oof. Yeah, we should have just took a bye week on this week.
I should have just figured out the algorithm.
I mean, if we're ever going to try to put ourselves in competition with TS's music, I mean, we would never do a podcast.
What's the name of the album?
That's coming out tomorrow?
That's coming out tomorrow.
I have no idea.
She released a name of it, right? Like,
I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
It's probably something like, I can't wait to dump my dumb tight end boyfriend so I can write better songs.
Something. I'll find out the
like
title, and we're gonna call this podcast that same title. This way, I'll just mind fuck the algorithm so it comes all in our favor.
This episode is called Red Cardigan.
Yeah, right. Like orange eras, or I think it's something to do with orange, because that's the. All right, whatever. It's all stupid. Taylor Swift. Good luck to you. Good luck beating us out on the Spotify charts. This week, we're getting in our Wayback Machine. As we normally do on this show, by the way. In case you haven't caught on, we do a lot of reminiscing and nostalgia hunting. This one is it's all about video games, and in particular, sports video games. A time-honored tradition. One of the reasons that people still flock to video games. Obviously, like there's huge franchises and all of these different innovations that come along with video games these days. But I also think, like, at the core of it, sports is an integral reason why people still play games and seek out year after year the new versions of what the hot league game is or sport game is. So we're gonna give you kind of an overview of our history with sports video games. Maybe touch on a couple other genres if we're so inclined, but this is going to be predominantly sports. As with most of our through the years and through our own tilted point of view, I guess you'd want to call it. We're going to miss a few things, so we'll encourage you now and at the end of the episode, please listen to everything we're saying. And if we miss any games that are of vital importance, that's what the comment section is for. That is what for social media and direct messaging is for. So feel free to let us know if we hit all the high spots or if we missed major gaps. Does that sound okay, Captain?
I say we fire up the DeLorean.
Mm-hmm.
Get me my 21.1 gigawatts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think it's 1.21.
Bolt of lightning. Mm-hmm. 120, whatever it is. It's a bolt of lightning.
It's a bolt of lightning is what it is, yeah.
Shit, I gotta make that bomb for the plutonium.
Oh wait,
Anyway,
yeah, you're not allowed to say bomb on the podcast. We can say fuck, but I think bomb.
Really?
Yeah, bomb's pretty. Might have to cut that out.
No, it's fine. It's not like I'm saying that on an airplane.
That's a good point. Oh, what if somebody's listening to this with no headphones and on, and then they get caught, and they're like,
bomb, bomb.
No, I'm listening to a podcast about retro video games, retro sports video games, and they said bomb. So, all right.
Really weird Middle Eastern guy with a beard sitting in the third row. Bomb.
Big fan.
There you go. No, but we'll go back in time, kind of go through a little bit, as you were saying, like, we're not going to go year by year, but just kind of like how we got, maybe how we got into video gaming and different marquee games throughout our illustrious playing career.
Okay, all right, that's
wow.
It's a fair way to say that.
Yes. So me and you are very similar in age. Most of the people who I think listen to our podcasts are around our age, because mostly they're our friends or people that we know.
That's right. That's the algorithm.
I don't hang around a lot of really old people, and I don't hang around a lot of young people. So
yes.
I would say my gateway drug into video games, my intro, was an Atari system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But in a chance of luck, I don't know if Holy Family in your day, did you guys have Catholic Schools Week?
We did. Yes.
Okay, so at St. Anne's, the Friday of Catholic Schools Week was Fun Day.
Yeah.
And we would have like a inside kind of carnival type thing where we had games and all that stuff. And my sister won an Atari.
Wow.
At Fun Day.
Wow, what a day.
So that was our way of getting video games into our house. It came with standard game. There were cartridges that had multiple games and stuff.
Yeah.
Really, the first sports game that I can kind of remember from my Atari system was a Pele Soccer. Which was kind of funny because I also did you have the handheld video games?
Oh, like the
little
the electronic football or
yeah.
I know my brother had a couple of those, and I think there was like a tabletop one that was like a baseball. It was in the shape of a diamond, and two people could play. One person would sit on one side, but it was like, basically like it's got no sound. You're just watching like images, and you're like tapping the thing, and then like. There's not even a body. It's basically like almost like a flipper, like a pinball machine is there, and it hits the ball, and then you're just progressing one base at a run and one base at a time. There's no doubles unless you hit it over what would be the fence, and it would flash home run and stuff like that. So,
the Pele handheld was. You want to talk about have we improved in life? Was basically like a capital I on your keyboard.
Okay, right.
And then the soccer ball was a lowercase o, and then there was like basically on the game itself there was the outline of like a goal.
Oh, okay.
And then you would have to hit the buttons and get around people, and there was a shoot button, and then the ball would go like really super slow, but the players were either slower than that. Most games ended either 1-0 or 0-0 because it was ridiculous. The Atari version of it was just as bad because somebody decided soccer's played on a really, really big field. You had these little blurbs of
little dots.
And it had like two little lines that looked like legs, and it had a ball. And it took basically, if you decided to go from your half of the field to the other half, it pretty much took the whole half. So it took 45 minutes for you to get from one side to the other. It was great that it was called Pele Soccer, and he was on the box and all that stuff. But there there was no moment of like, it wasn't like you could take the little blurb and make them do a bite
Yeah,
kick.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or it wasn't like at any point during halftime, like you, Sylvester Stallone and Michael Caine were trying to break out, through the swimming pool or the bathtub in the locker room.
Yeah.
None of
exactly.
that was on this
Right.
video game.
Yeah.
But there wasn't. Atari didn't have many sports games. They had their kind of like their signature.
Right. Right. Yeah. You're right.
Frogger. There's those type of, they did have a race car game, a pole position, but it was so like the graphics on it were so much like compared to like the pole position that you played in the arcade.
At the arcade, I was gonna say, yeah.
It was. They weren't real. They might have been named the same thing, but they weren't the same video game.
And that's I think the early and that's when you're talking about the Atari, especially the Atari 2600 when it first came out. If there was a sports game you were playing, they were big on like, hey, there's like crowd noise, so let's make sure that all these games have crowd noise. And it just sounded like airplanes taking off. And I think unfortunately that was the problem with a lot of these like early video games, is that they had that sort of like blips and bloops sounding, and then it was like, if they wanted to make it sound like sports, it would be this like just this garbled mess of what should be cheering. Like if there is a home run, if there is that sound coming out of the unit into the speakers of your TV, it was usually reminiscent of an airplane taking off, like where it's just sort of like this ascending like roar almost. There was no licensing. They licensed. So when Atari was trying to make money in the 80s, their big thing was, we want to emulate the experience of going to an arcade by coming home, right? And playing this on your screen. So if they were going to spend their money and they were going to like partner up with anybody, it would be buying the license to have a home version of Pac-Man or a home version of Donkey Kong, or, something that was like based off of a movie like E.T. or Jaws or whatever that, Superman, stuff like that. They didn't see a value in sports because there wasn't anything that was leading them to say like, well, let's partner with Major League Baseball. And even though this looks like shit, and these little like sort of like stick figure guys that are, one's red and one's blue, and we don't have the names of the teams, like, they're not getting like Pete Rose's name for a game or anything like that. So for Pele to actually have lent his license to a game, I guess he's more or less an innovator on that side of things. And I'm sure there's probably a few others like scattered throughout there that had something that was tied to Atari, or even tied to like a cabinet in an arcade, but that wouldn't come along for a while. The licensing and partnering with major sports leagues.
Well, not only were you behind on the graphics for the Atari system, you're also limited by the controller as to what you could do.
Yes, true. Yeah.
There was the arcade games, and even there were a few games for the computer. I do remember my aunt having, which was interesting. My aunt had a game called Bird versus Dr. J.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because Magic wouldn't give his name to the computer company.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of like, well, yeah, Bird and Dr. J did square off it, I think, in the 83 finals. But, Dr. J at that point was kind of on his way out of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody wanted a Bird Magic game, but apparently Magic didn't
see her.
sign it off. So I think that, what you could do on video games in the arcade, and also similar to what you could do the graphics wise and everything on some of the computer games, I think is where it kind of turned into that's what people wanted. And that's why I would say the next big wave is the Nintendo. And that was one of the reasons why that was so successful, because compared, the graphics were night and day compared to Atari. Plus, the controller and the movements were a little bit more, I would say, natural to where you kind of actually felt like you were playing.
Yeah, of course.
It wasn't so much. It wasn't like so much like doing an Etch-a-Sketch where I got to go up, and over. But like you could move around on.
Yeah, the directional pad was a lot more fluid, and an up, a left, a right, a back. Like those are the types of things that make sense. And then you had a couple buttons. You didn't just have one trigger button, more or less.
I think the first game that I kind of remember playing on a Nintendo system was Double Dribble.
Double Dribble, yeah. So
go
ahead.
Which had two really cool features. Well, one I would say cool feature, and that was when you went up to slam dunk.
Yeah.
You had the screen that came in with the slow motion person dunking the basketball.
Awesome. Yeah.
The other version was, if you weren't an experienced player, there were these spots on the floor that if you shot from there, you were 100% making it.
Yes. Yeah, the hot spots. Yeah.
So it was kind of cool when two people who knew what they were doing would play, because you'd have some really interesting games. But if you had somebody who was playing it for a first time, nobody ever was like, oh, I'm just going to take. You would have games where the other person would be winning by like 40 points, and it would just be like, oh my God, could you end this so that we can, whoever was waiting to play next.
I got to reset. I got to reset this game.
The only other thing that was kind of corny was they had the graphics were a lot better, but they didn't get licensed it. So they had you had a New York team, you had a Boston team, you had a Chicago team, and Los Angeles, but it was like the Boston team was called the Boston Frogs, and they were green.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just like, and the Chicago team was red, but they weren't called the Bulls; they were called something else.
Yeah.
And that was the other part that was kind of corny. Was like, all right. Next up, the Boston Frogs against the New York, whatever they were called.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, it's the Knicks against the Celtics, you idiot. Like, I mean, even the Knicks team was blue and orange, but they,
Well, I was going to say, like,
it's horrible.
They probably hit the colors better and the cities. But that's, again, where you have a little bit of improvement, where you've got, players actually have faces and you can, determine one over the other, or at least they're playing in positions that are normal. So for all of that progress that you made to get there, then you still had to worry about all right, here's a conceit that we have to we just have to make sure that we know that, hey, this isn't, these aren't the teams. We're not going to get the players, but we're at least going to be able to play a competitive game of basketball instead of the old Atari basketball, which was 1-on-1, and your guy would brunk down the court and then throw it in the air. It doesn't go in, and then you had to the ball wouldn't bounce. It would just stick on the ground, and you had to pick it up and then So to have Double Dribble, where you have, as you mentioned, the cut screen for the slam dunk was innovative. The hot spots on the court, all that stuff. It was that was an interesting and good progression. My big my big hatred for that game. I love the game. I could play it today, but I'd have to.
By the way,
what?
Just sitting here thinking of it, is Double Dribble the only sports game that's named after a foul? Or something that you don't want to do.
Something to avoid.
It's not called easy layup basketball or free throw. It's double dribble. You don't want to double dribble in basketball.
No, I don't know what.
That's a turnover. That's a foul.
It's a little bit celebrating. There wasn't a hockey game that was called Too Many Men on the Ice. But
high stick hockey.
But I was gonna say,
I'm sorry, your hatred for Double Dribble.
No. I love the game, and I would prefer to play against an opponent. I hated playing the computer because the computer cheated in that game so much. If you played 1-on-1 with the computer, you would get out to a good 10 10-point lead after the first quarter. You feel really good about yourself. Hey, I'm hitting the hot spots. Balls are dropping. I got a steal here, all this other stuff. And then you would eventually, like, it would be a closer game at the half, and then the computer would kill you by 40 points at the end of the game. He would like come on, he or she, I don't know what the gender of the computer was, but the computer would kill you in the second half. So you would be lulled into the false sense of security of, I'm going to survive this, and then you're just steamrolled. So that was always frustrating.
I almost had the opposite, where I would play the computer really close, and I would hit a bucket to go up like 91-90, and that fucking thing always hit the half court or whatever.
Well, yeah.
And it would always be like it hit off the front of the rim, hit the backboard, and go in.
Yeah.
And it was just like, come on, like that should have hit the front of the rim and bounced that, like. So.
Yeah, cheater.
Yeah,
cheating computer.
I almost kind of feel like anytime you play like any of these games where you kind of played the computer early on anyway, miraculous things like would always happen for the computer. Never happened for you.
No, never happened for you.
You never performed a triple play, but somehow.
Yeah, no.
RBI baseball. That fucking thing would do two triple plays in a game
as fast as possible. So you mentioning RBI baseball, I think that one. That's an early memory, and that one there was a license with the Players Association, so you didn't get the New York Mets, but you got NYM, you got Boston, so you had every team that was in the playoffs from the 85, 86, and 87 rosters were available for all of those teams. Then they had some all-star teams. So you could play as regular Major League Baseball players. The problem was that everybody in the original RBI baseball were sort of like 3 inches high. They were very small. That was the whitest Darryl Strawberry I've ever played with. He was like
would you say that all of them kind of looked like the 80s San Diego Padre emblem, where they were like 3 inches tall, but swinging a 7-inch bat.
the long ass bats. That's very funny. But you actually this is why the RBI baseball was like endearing, because that at least you could say like, all right, I'm playing with like major league players. They don't look anything like them, but I can set a lineup. They have certain attributes, although it's pretty samey. There are certain guys that were switch hitters. There were guys that were you had a bench, so you could have you'd have a few guys for defensive replacements, or to pinch hit late in a game. Your pitchers, like they had the right like arm. So Gooden was a righty, Bob Ojeda was a lefty. That gave you like at that time the first realistic version of baseball or any sport. I think that was like one of the first ones to jump into licensing for like more than one or two players. But it had with the all-star rosters, like you were able to say like, hey, I don't have like the Cleveland Indians, or I don't have like the Reds, but I've got like, Eric Davis, or I have like, Joe Carter, whoever, like, they kind of slotted into those teams. So that was a big step in the right direction. There
was an RBI baseball that had, as you were mentioned, like they didn't have like, if you wanted to be the New York team in the NL, it would say NYM, but then they would have the AL, it would NYY.
So that was when
I could vividly my earliest is that's where I think my hatred of the Oakland A's came from, because I had a friend who would always root and play with the Oakland A's, and I of course would always pick the Yankees.
Yeah.
The Yankees pitching was ass,
right,
and the bottom part of their lineup was ass. So it was always like, I would get a couple runs in the first inning because I had Henderson and Mattingly and Winfield, But yeah.
Then you get the Bash Brothers later in the game. So that was when they got to. So they had a sequel.
That might have been 87, 88.
So think. RBI Baseball 2 came out, I think, in either 88 or 89. Yeah. And it had. So that took the fat body guys, the little short, the guys who look like the Padre in the San Diego Padre emblem, and it made them taller, elongated. So you had you could see guys doing diving plays. There was the graphics were better for stealing. So that was when it was good. Hey, there's a sequel, and the sequel now has an expansion on the available players. So now I feel and you could play a season, because they they started to kind of build the memory of these games and what they could hold, and how they could program it. It took a step forward, and then RBI Baseball. I think they're still releasing, some version of RBI Baseball these days. But that was sort of that was the intro, the little fat body guys in the first RBI Baseball, to RBI Baseball 2, so on and so forth.
The other pet peeve was if you were stealing a base, you had to time it right for the slide. Otherwise, so. For everybody who kind of remembers AstroTurf fields, that was kind of like the graphic. So it had the little dirt spot around all the bases. And if you hit the steal, the guy would start taking off. If you hit the slide button too early, it would make the guy start sliding from when the dirt so you should have easily been in there, but it took 3 minutes for him to slide. Yeah. And you would just hear this shh.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was that was annoying. You had to learn how to time it right. Otherwise the guy would start sliding from midway through the infield and you'd always be out.
Well, and also I think if you tap the button or maybe if your opponent tapped the button quick enough, the guy doesn't even hit the ground. He freezes in his place. So he's easy to pick off. There was glitches all over the place with those. But that's, RBI Baseball is again, it's a quintessential franchise. There was a game, I don't know if you played this one, keeping with baseball games, but I think possibly the best Nintendo baseball game might have been Baseball Stars.
I played it a few times.
Yeah,
but
it was a rental game. I never owned it, but I rented this one.
I would say I logged in more hours playing RBI Baseball than Baseball Stars.
So with Baseball Stars, I think it was the first of its kind game that actually had a battery backup.
Yes,
and it gave you the ability to customize rosters. So not only were you playing a game of baseball, you're like a little GM. They had a free agency, and there was money that you could spend in that free agency. It kept full season stats. You didn't have so they didn't have the major league license, but you could modify. I think you could modify players' names if you wanted to change a guy's name to, Bobby Bonilla or whatever it was. You had that capability. So there was a lot more freedom. And like I said, this was a rental game. What was always interesting to me about rental games is depending on the day of the week that you went over to the video store, you could have, if you went over there on a Tuesday during the week, if you were lucky enough to do that, you had Rule the Roost, because all the games had come back from the weekend and they were back on the shelves. So you could find all this stuff. If you were a weekend renter, nothing was available. You were I want to play a baseball video game, and you get saddled with something like Bases Loaded. And it's Bases Loaded stinks. That game sucks. It's not as good as...
Did you ever play the baseball game where it was robots?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was called Robot Battle.
I think it was Base Wars. There was one called Base Wars that I remember playing.
So the gimmick was the robot pitching would get tired.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't bring you a new robot. The manager would come out and just change out the arm.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so bad. Oh.
But it was, as bad as it was probably really fun to like, at least say like, all right, this is a different kind. This is a video game version of, of what baseball and sports means to me. So I'm buying into this. The other game, and we'll pivot over to hockey real fast. Double Dribble was made by Konami, and they also had a hockey game, Blades of Steel.
Nothing got me more excited than when the game finally booted up and the emblem came on and it went Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel. Yes.
Like, oh, it's on. It's fucking on.
So that's one of the things that I actually noted on here is like it had that intro. Double Dribble had that too. It was like Double Dribble. But Blades of Steel had like voice samples, so like you could hear like when they, especially like if you were engaged in a fight, you would hear the crowd noise would come up, and it would, you would hear a on the punches. They would be like in if you scored a goal, there'd be goal celebrations, like a yeah or a all right or something like that. It was much more fast paced than any other hockey game had been, which was great. The fighting was probably the most memorable element. Do you remember that there were only 2 penalties called in that game?
High stick. No.
So you would get a penalty if you lost. You would go to the penalty box if you lost your fight. The winner stayed on.
Right.
So if you lost the fight, you would get booed, and you would hear people booing, and you get put in the penalty box. And icing was they would every 2 minutes you couldn't turn the icing off. So like if you don't know the gameplay all that well, and you don't know how to like catch your skater up or slow him down and stay in pace, and you just sent the puck going all the way down, it would be like every other play would be icing. And it's like, how do we figure out how to do this the right way? I guess I have to pass to a guy. So that was,
by the way, when you have a 3-goal lead, nothing would piss the other person off than you just constantly
just dumping the puck and icing it. Yeah. So
it was like you were forever like, you're not playing short. This isn't a penalty kill. I know. I'm killing you.
Yeah,
slowly.
We're playing out the string here. So that was a pretty awesome, addition. Other than that, like Nintendo themselves had a hockey game, and that was the one where you had the little fat player, you had the middle body guy, you had a super tall guy, and then there was a guy that was allegedly, fast or whatever. Like. So it was a really kind of wonky way, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one of the best video games, and I think out of this group, like as great as Double Dribble and RBI Baseball are, I think it's pretty undeniable that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and Punch-Out in general is that's in the upper echelon of Nintendo games in general, but certainly a Nintendo sports boxing game for sure. Like elite. First of all, it was an elite arcade game, and it was one that was like you would like there'd be stacks of quarters, like people waiting in line to like get their chance to play in the arcade Punch-Out because it was loud because you could hear it. Even though it was like sort of like patchwork, or like
it always sucked if you were the person that was facing like the green person, the outline.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that nobody wanted to be that guy.
But the when they got it to the home console, Mike Tyson again. We talked about licensing. Like this is somebody who understood licensing, was going to make a lot of money, and he got his name in there. Impossible to find rental copies of this game. Like this would be like you'd wait months to get your hands on a Mike Tyson Punch-Out for 2 days, and then you'd be like, all right, everybody that's played this, give me your cheat codes, give me your how do you beat this guy, how do you, I'm playing, I rented it for 2 days, like I got beat by Glass Tiger like 8 times, what do I do? And people would know how to do it, or you would read the Nintendo Power magazine that would teach you the tricks. Great characters, just a murderer's row of like awesome characters. Then you would have your training screens with Doc training Little Mac, literally catchy music. And then it's just like, you're going through the divisions. So like, you're basically like, you're on this journey. If you're playing it the right way, you're on this journey to go through and to beat like Glass Joe and Don Flamenco and King Hippo on your way up to, fighting better guys like Piston Honda and Bald Bull and Super Macho Man. And they eventually so Tyson had a license with Nintendo for, I think it was for 5 years, ran out in 91, and then they just replaced his character with Mr. Dream, was the guy you beat at the end. And basically he had all the attributes of Mike Tyson. He was just not Mike Tyson. So
he didn't rape anybody.
Right, yeah. Yes, he wasn't going to prison shortly thereafter.
Did you ever play Buster Douglas boxing?
No. That was a Sega one, right?
I couldn't remember if it was Super Nintendo or if it was Sega, but that was awful. That was an awful boxing game.
That's the problem, is that like doing a little bit of research through, like, yeah, I think I remember playing, like, they released a Rocky game for like PlayStation 2, and there were some other ones that were okay, but there was nothing like Punch Out.
No. I think they tried to make an Evander Holyfield boxing. They tried. God, even can you imagine they made a George Foreman boxing?
Yeah.
I think later on, but yeah, nobody was Iron Mike.
No, it was
kind of,
because that was the other thing about that, was you didn't have to be a sports fan to like get into that. You could just be like just somebody who just wants to play a video game, or you're over at somebody's house and it's a bunch of people that are like, all right, it's my turn. We're like, all right, you take a chance. Like anybody could jump in there and you smash buttons and you try to duck and you figure things out. And then it's like, all right, next person up, like, you're the man on the wheel. So yeah, I mean, I think like I think that covers us for the Nintendo. Where do we go from here? Like, what's our next innovation?
Well, I never had a Super Nintendo. I don't know about you.
I was a Super Nintendo household. Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know. I really can't speak to. I don't even remember if any of my friends really had a Super Nintendo. I feel like for some reason everybody had a Nintendo, and then it seemed like everybody just jumped to Sega Genesis
because it was out. It was out before. So Genesis came out in like 1990. And that was the 16-bit. So that was like, they had the innovation before Nintendo got it. Nintendo got the Super Nintendo in the US in 91, I think. So that's the exact reason.
Look at you bringing the research.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I was forbidden after the Atari. I was forbidden to have a gaming system due to not handing in my homework.
Oh, bad boy.
And playing the video game. So I had to live vicariously through all of my friends who had video game systems. Hence why I never really won too many tournaments, because I didn't have, like, everybody else went home and practiced. And
yeah, you didn't get your reps in.
Nah. I was the one that, like, couldn't figure out why, when we were playing Super Techno Ball, like, why are you constantly being the Raiders? Oh, that's because Bo Jackson's really good.
So I mean, I think that's another one that people romanticize and talk about a lot. Tecmo Bowl, which had started out on Nintendo, and was, the best football game going, when they upgraded, and I think they upgraded like the year that like Genesis came out, and the year before, like not even a year before then the Super Nintendo came out, they still had the regular Nintendo version of Tecmo Super Bowl. So they ported that to Super Nintendo when it did hit the market. But that Tecmo Bowl was, you had every team, you had almost every player. There was like a handful of guys that like didn't agree to register their names with the NFLPA and loan them to the team. So Randall Cunningham and Jim Kelly being two of the most glaring ones, and it was QB Bills and QB Eagles took their place, but they had all the attributes of those guys.
My memory was Tecmo Ball, the original Tecmo Ball, had certain plays that were like unbeatable.
Oh yeah, okay, all right.
Like certain for some reason, if you were the Broncos and you did a halfback toss, where the running back threw the ball, was unstoppable.
Yeah.
The NYJ, which would have been the New York Giants, the blue team, like if you did a blitz, because it was Lawrence Taylor, even though he was going to break through and kill you, right? You were never blocking him, no matter what you did. Whereas I think with Super Tecmo Ball kind of came with that, like that's where like the Bo Jackson, you can't stop him on runs. Certain teams had like players that were unstoppable, whereas Tecmo Ball had certain plays that.
Well, there was a limited amount of plays with Tecmo. You only had like 4 plays available to you. So, but yeah, as you got more, so they maybe the wrinkle was that the players got the kind of cheat codes or like the specialties, and it wasn't necessarily the play that you were calling. So that's a good point. It's still one of the most, and that Super Tecmo Bowl is still one of the most replayable games of my lifetime for sure. Like I would spend hours, like just like looking through, and you had full rosters of everybody, so you had backups. So like there would be guys that like they would have injuries. This was the first sports game that had injuries. And guys would, you'd have to replace them in your lineup. And it's like, all right, I have to do strategy now. Or if I've got to do I can play a full season, or I can just play like in exhibition mode or like preseason mode. Like, you could spend a lot of time doing this. And again, just like we said with RBI baseball, as the years went by, there was another version of it that came out that had more tricks and that had more things to, kind of get lost in. Whether you owned it, whether you rented it, it was the sort of thing where it's like, I'm really getting invested in playing only as the Jets for a full season. And like, how many, can I get through like a whole season in a day? Well, sure. There's an option to skip games. So I'm going to skip to week 6 and see what my schedule looks like. So it really became more like user driven and fan driven for the people that were continuing to play the games. But I think like at its core, like on that Genesis or on that Super Nintendo or even the Nintendo, like it was still like light years beyond anything that football was putting out there. So it made for a much, much more fun game playing experience. And it was blowing away. Like the rest of if you're looking at Super Nintendo or Genesis, like they were releasing like NFL Quarterback Club came out like every year. And that thing sucked because you couldn't play games. I'm just doing drills. Yeah. Yeah, I could play as every quarterback in the league, but I'm just doing fucking drills.
My mind might be a little fuzzy, but I remember NFL Blitz being a much better game than the early versions of Madden.
So what's funny about Blitz, the Blitz was huge in the arcade. It started in the arcade.
Right. I do remember playing that on Sega Genesis though.
So they did eventually like put a version of that out. I think it was like late Sega Genesis because I remember first playing it on PlayStation. Yeah. But it was more like kind of like an NBA Jam NFL Blitz because all the plays were like everything was in hurry up. Right. So you had only a few a few plays to make, but you also had the flexibility of you had more control over the player. So you would call a run play and it might be that formation, but if you see like an open on the other side, you could kind of change your path and just go wherever you wanted to. You could quarterback sneak a lot more in NFL Blitz. And I think something to do with the clock was much faster. So it was basically like, this is a sped up version of what you're going to get through like a regular game.
Had like, I think there were like when you sacked the quarterback, I think there was a little bit more like you could almost, I think like celebrations were a little bit more like, I don't think Madden had really had that at that point.
No.
And I think I could be speaking out of turn, but I think you used to be able to like power bomb the quarterback and shit. That's when you got to them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it had like NBA, like over the top, like NBA Jam qualities to it. So
since you mentioned it, and we were in kind of like our Sega gen, we got to talk about NBA Jam and how. In my days of playing video, I mean, NBA Jam was. It definitely Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. It's a dream team. Yeah.
It was the graphics were very arcade like.
Yes.
When you're playing at home.
Almost cartoony.
Like it wasn't like, but it was still kind of cool enough that you felt like you're playing a basketball game, but it was 2-on-2.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like you didn't have to try to like control 5 guys or like hope that the computer didn't just decide to shoot on its own or anything like that. Like you're controlling 2 guys and the other guy didn't do anything until you switched on him.
Yeah.
I think the other, besides like all the, he's heating, like when you would like your shoes would get like all hot and then like when you would shoot the basketball, there would be like the net would catch on fire.
He's on fire.
It was really cool. The main thing, and you just hit it, having Marv Albert, who was the actual voice of the NBA at that time, doing the commentating.
It's not Marv Albert.
It's not?
It's not Marv Albert. No. That was some guy from Midway.
He sure sounded like Marv Albert.
Well,
I thought it was Marv.
I think that was the point, was to make it sound like an NBA, like an over the top, like an announcer.
But those things like he's heating up, boom shakalaka, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what added to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because whether you were doing it, no matter whether you were playing like the video game or you were in a park having a pickup game of basketball, everybody did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like somebody would hit 2 shots in a row, and there always would be somebody going, "He's heating up.
He's heating up."
You can't buy a bucket.
So
there was always somebody doing that shit, and that was like that wasn't just like, oh, it's a gimmick for like a week. Like that was like a thing for years.
Definitely. Yeah, it was. NBA Jam was, like I said about Tyson's Punch-Out, like NBA Jam was a party game in that if you had a bunch of people over and you're like, let's play something, and you're going to swap people in and out, there's going to be like, either one guy's controlling, just one team through a whole tournament, or you're just like, playing each other in a bracket style. Like you could go a million ways with NBA Jam. You could spend hours going through it. We're going to play as a team. I'm going to control, Karl Malone, you're going to be John Stockton, and just keep feeding me the ball underneath, or like I'll pop it out to you at the right time and you hit the 3. And like, so it's like, there was so much strategy. There was so much thinking that went into playing that game and doing everything you could to like wring everything out, like the specialty player, putting in the codes and getting specialty players. Oh, this game I'm going to play with all big heads, or I'm going to play with like, Bill Clinton, or whoever the hidden players were. Like there was like almost like a folklore around it, and like this. It was right at the end. Again, Midway is the company that gave us Mortal Kombat. So you're gonna have like stuff that's like, it makes reference to other video games that are in there, and it's it was so cool. It was so like diametrically different from what you wanted to, which like all the rest of the games was like, I just want to get a realistic experience of what a baseball game or a football game or basketball, whatever it was. And then it was like NBA Jam comes out. It's like, there's no rules. It's 2-on-2. Everybody looks like a cartoon with giant heads. The ball's on fire for a little while. Look at what those cheerleaders are doing. Like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat sitting in the crowd. Like, you know, that's the type of thing where it's like you spot a million like hidden dimensions to it, and it was absolutely like iconic. It's a top-notch game. I have a copy of it that hopefully one of these days I can actually like get a functioning like Super Nintendo that isn't like beat up, that I can, you know, play it. It's just awesome. It's one of a kind.
If this version exists somewhere, please somebody direct me to it, or if you know it. There really should be a version of NBA Jam that you can play where, like, almost like a franchise mode, where if I want to, like, if I want to be the Boston Celtics, I could have like Larry Bird and Bill Russell as the two guys that play. Like, that was the only thing that really kind of sucked about NBA Jam, was that, one, there was no Jordan because he wouldn't sign away. Right. There was no Shaq because he wouldn't. He had his own.
There was. If you played it in the arcade, I think Shaq he was in that one. That was very early, but.
And during that time, the Celtics sucked. You were playing with like Robert Parrish and D. Brown, like.
Yeah.
Although I think you got Reggie Lewis.
McHale. He'd be involved.
It was just like, God, man, I don't two old guys, and like D. Brown sucked.
D. Brown was small and could hit jumpers.
I know he won the slam dunk contest, and and everybody got the stupid Reebok shoes that he wore. But I mean, come on, like that should be a thing where you could be like. You know, could you imagine being the Lakers and being like, "Oh, I got Jerry West and or like I'm going Biggs, I'm going Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on a team." Like that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, everybody's knees snap as they're going down the court.
Hey, let's see your dad drag Lanier and Chamberlain up and down the court every night.
So. My recommendation for you, if you are looking for that, there are emulators out there where they sort of modify all the old games, and then you download it. I don't know. Listen, where you're getting it from might be, you got to find a reputable one, but if you think it, I'm sure it's out there somewhere. Somebody has modified old and new rosters galore. So,
before we get into, I guess, maybe the improvements of gaming systems, I think it'd be a good time, because it did start with Sega Genesis, but really the game changer, I think, of sports games was the emergence of EA Sports. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's...
which, by the way, I think, if I read recently, is being sold for $50 billion
to a Saudi-owned company.
Wow.
So has money.
Saudis apparently have lots of money.
They do.
And they apparently put on really good comedy festivals.
Hold for applause.
For the right price.
Hold for applause.
There you go. I was just waiting for the groan of the crowd, and then I was going to continue.
Yeah.
But yeah, EA Sports, I mean, that's where...
How about that for a sound effect?
Oh, no, we got fucking sound effects?
I figured out sound effects. But anyway... Yeah, EA Sports.
Are we gonna have a fucking bike horn like like, well, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I got another one.
There you go.
Yeah, that's for all your jokes,
dude. When we actually get like a video where people can watch us.
Yeah,
my background has got to be a brick wall.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah. Oh, welcome the captain of the show. Anyway,
we're gonna have the Merv Griffin.
Yeah, we'll move you down to the end. Move him down.
I gotta go down to the end of the couch as always. But yeah, crazy. You had to break that up. EA Sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
No applause.
No. I've played all of my sound effects.
We went through our budget for the sound effects.
Yeah, we hotboxed
them. EA Sports, you get an improved Madden football, which I think
holy shit,
because I think there was an original version where it was just John Madden football, and it wasn't like it was kind of clunky, like very early version.
They almost look like
EA
robots.
Sports,
that's really what I remember.
EA Sports, really, it becomes Madden. Like
they put resources into it. So this is one of the big things. Like right at the same time. So this is, let's say it's 93. 93 is when they drop, it becomes Madden NFL. So EA Sports, which had owned the property, kind of revamps it. Madden NFL, we're going to have improved gameplay. I guess they had seen what Tecmo was doing with their entities and how good their football games had gotten. They had basketball too, and it was really rotten. It was bad. Basketball on Tecmo was awful, but they started to see like, hey, there's improvements to be made here and there. Video games kind of look like they're here to stay. So they pour a ton of resources into two franchises full steam ahead, and that's the Madden franchise, which we'll get into a lot of the details. And then it was also the NHL property. 93, they launched NHLPA, which went after it had players' licenses throughout the league. Madden kind of grabbed onto that. Maybe they did it simultaneously. Whatever they did, you saw within that 93, 94, 95 time frame, while they were still on like Genesis, before they went to like the disc-based games, and they really went nuts with the graphics. But you saw you had throwback teams at one point. You got the full NFL license in 94. So not only did you have every single player, they started to they had the stadiums looking unique. They had logos. They had all of these like little innovations that they were bringing along because they realized, hey, now we've become the McDonald's of sports video games for the football genre. Right. So we've got Madden football, and now it's like it's a buzzword, and it's starting to really like become the destination. I think 94 might have been the first year in the Madden franchise where they started involving injured players. But the great part about that was the ambulance would come onto the field to collect the injured player. And if there were other players in the way of the ambulance, they would run over other players or even the referee. And there would be
sometimes the guy that was actually injured, they would literally run over him. If it was anywhere near the goal line, people were getting hit.
Yeah. And then you would hear like, again, they got the sound effects cranked up on those things. So you're hearing like the uhs and ugh. So, and then you
add in.
Go ahead.
Add in your kind of the same thing with the Marv Albert voice of NBA Jam. Now you're getting the Maddenisms. He'll remember that number every time you really put you put a hit on somebody.
Yeah. And that was his actual voice. So he recorded all that stuff. But you're right. Like there was all of those elements like made the game more immersive, and it made it fun and funny. It was still a step below what it would become when the technology shifted, and I'll get to that in a minute. But like you were getting so much more than what you got like maybe on the original. Like this was a computer game. This was like a PC game, John Madden football, and it was like they had a lot of plays, but it was so complicated to like go through them. Now you're getting them on the screen. You're getting to see like, all right, you can start to call audibles. You can, change your formations and use guys that were, on your sidelines. So you're getting more of the, like, it's a fun game to play because of the sight gags, the voiceover, the cutesy, player interaction, stuff like that. But then you also got the deep football nerd stuff where you're like, I want to change the whole scheme of my defense for the next game. How do I do that? And then it would give you like you could select all of these plays to put into your playbook and have available for the next time around.
Different from you could be a team and run out of the I formation. You could go 4 wide receivers, shotgun, and all that, like all the different. If you were down and you had to start scoring quicker, it very real. A more realistic version to the game was that, you could start. Do I want to be a 4-3 defense? Do I want to be a 3-4 defense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put in goal line defense. Because this idiot keeps on running on me for some reason. So I'm just going to put in a goal line defense, and that will stop him. It's just
Tecmo had that in like their later. I think their Tecmo 3, Tecmo Super Bowl 3. I think they finally got to that level, but I think graphically Madden and EA Sports had just. And plus, they had like nothing beats the voiceover of John Madden, who's like, the voice of the NFL. Like it's an important thing to be part of it.
Him and Summerall were doing whatever. They're the Romo and Hello Friends.
Jim Nance of their day.
They got the biggest. If the 49ers and Giants were playing the regular season, Madden and Summerall are doing that game. Like they're doing every big game every week.
They're key to all of that. So that was one of the big steps. Like I said, once we talk a little bit more about the technology, we'll circle back to really break open like how they like monopolize the football video game. But I brought up the NHL. Pound for pound, there is no better video game than EA Sports NHL franchise, especially 94, 95, 96. Those are the golden years of NHL on console. Holy shit. Every year, something got a little bit better from the year before. 94, you're able to like change lines on the fly. You don't have to wait for a whistle to do it. Expanded rosters galore. You have a little bit of fighting. You could take out Wayne Gretzky and make Little Wayne's head bleed. They took the blood out after a while because it was getting families and these video game watchdogs were getting upset about it.
Didn't they? Was 94 and 95? Didn't they take fighting out of it?
So
one of them,
they had it. I think they had it out in 95. 95, they cleaned it up a bit. It was still like it was faster, and you had a lot more like kind of nuances to the game. But I think 95, they were like, let's sanitize this a bit. So there was no fighting, no blood. You could still you could still take guys out, and you could still blindside guys. You were going to get a penalty, but you could still blindside guys. But there was no like little pool of blood that was collecting. 94 was sweet for that.
And the most important thing, you could turn off the offsides.
Yeah. Well, you could. I think you could always do that. Disable offsides and disable penalties.
Not in Blades of Steel, you couldn't.
But when they get to 96, and this is, I think 96 is my favorite version of it. 96, the gameplay is so much more smooth. You have the ability to do trades, drafts. You could, again, just like we mentioned with like Tecmo, you could start simulating games and play full seasons. You could go back. Like I think that had like 3-year modes and stuff like that. And the music is what you would hear in the arenas. So like there's an authenticity to that. Like all the goal music for almost every team was what you would hear, if you went to one of their home games or watched them on television. So music is like notched up. And then just different types of plays that, you know, it's like, if I can perfect this play, I'm going to score 4 goals a game or 8 goals a game or whatever it is. If you do a wraparound and you're, you know, kind of like flick the controller the right way, you know, I'm hitting this, or I can pass it for a one-timer at this angle. Like, so as I said, like, EA Sports really gave you immersion in these games, like around those mid 90s, like no other. And all of a sudden, it's like I'm not only just spending like the 25 minutes that it takes to start and complete a game. I'm sitting here for 3 hours, like playing a half a season, a full season, or customizing my roster through a bunch of trades so I can get the best possible guys on my team. And then when I play, you know, somebody's, you know, coming over, or I'm bringing the console to somebody's house, it's like, all right, I'm the Rangers. How did you get all these guys on the Rangers? Oh, I made all these trades. Like, look at me, I'm king shit. You should play as the Devils or the Islanders or whatever. So, so that was like, it was sort of like a, you know, a next level like cheat code where you're not only a player, but you're also a general manager and a wheeler dealer. So I can't say enough about like NHL 94, 95, 96. 97 I actually didn't like a lot because it was the first one that was on PlayStation. And I just thought, like, with the 3D and the different camera angles, it was tough to like customize it to look exactly the way that you wanted it to. And they had the running commentary. It was kind of distracting when they started to throw a lot in it. That started to take me out of it. Eventually, EA figured their game out in the early 2000s, and I think that's where we should go next. Is into the PlayStation era, and I guess the Xbox era at this point.
Yeah, I mean, really, for I would say my gaming experience was, you know, when PlayStation, and particularly PlayStation 2, because that I thought was probably I have not bought a PlayStation after PlayStation 2. Mm-hmm. But that was like the holy shit, that was like the breakthrough moment, because like now with PlayStation 2 you could play online. You had headset, like it was just it had a DVD player built into it. Mm-hmm. It was like so much. I remember Madden, I think it's 2004. Like now they had music, like
licensed random. Yeah.
So like while you're going through the menu, if you wanted to go in and, you know, simulate games or whatever, or do this, or, you know, you would hear like the Strokes playing, or somebody like
Queens of the Stone Age, or
you had the emergence of college football games, where so now you could play NCAA football, EA Sports' NCAA football, create somebody, have them go through college, and then have that player be drafted on Madden.
Yeah,
it was crazy,
wild. Yeah.
Like all the stuff that you could do on it. Yeah. Also, as the gaming systems and stuff evolved, and you have to talk, even though it doesn't really have to do much with the game itself, but the Madden cover. I mean, it went from having John Madden on the front of it to now every year, like, we're going to pick whoever was basically like the breakout star from the year before. Right. So you would have, like, you know, some when you go back to it, you'd almost have to explain to somebody like who Sean Alexander was.
Who's Dante Culpepper?
Like some of the guys you'd be like, how the hell did they get on the cover of Madden?
Eddie George.
Some of them were a little.
Eddie George was the first solo cover artist.
Yep.
I think in '99. Yeah.
My favorite, I think, was the 2000. I always forget if it was I think it was the 2002 version of the game. I think Michael Vick was the cover guy. Yeah. Falcons Mike Vick. Mike Vick. Collinsworth's favorite player. But you emerge into PS2s, Then the Xbox, Xbox has a built-in hard drive. So you're able, the amount of information and stuff that you're allowed that you can save on it. Obviously, the graphics and everything, it's crazy. Like with the different games, I think MLB The Show. I mean, when you're playing the game and you're behind the plate, it's not a generic look at like.
Oh yeah, detail.
If you're playing as the Mets and you're playing a home game, it's Shea Stadium in the background.
Yeah. You see the apple, you see the picnic area. Yeah.
If you're the Yankees, you see the facade, you see the score. The green monster, everything. It's just like. So it was like it seemed like okay, so it's EA Sports, MLB, whatever year it is, or NHL, but it was like, okay, we're gonna hone on one thing and we're gonna improve that, and then every year we're just gonna keep on, whether it's the facial features of the players, the background, what the field looks like, the music, the sounds, whatever it is, it was just like. Then that's why it always made like, to some people who weren't into sport, like, why would you keep on buying that, like, it's a football game? What's it like? And it's just like, no, because there's always different things, like not even so much just, hey, it updates the roster or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like it improved. There was always something that just a little bit better than the year before, or they added a feature, they did all these different things. Yeah. And I remember Jake was an Xbox kid.
Okay.
And the emergence of NBA 2K.
I was going to say, like, that's probably on board with, like, Madden as far as, like, for the basketball world, and to see how that, like, and that's outside of EA. That's 2K Sports, whoever owns the license of that. But either way, that was the sort of thing where all of that evolved, right? Year after year, like, it got more curated and it got more, like, produced.
Well, I walked in from work one day, and he's playing NBA 2K. And, I walked in, and I looked, and I was like, what fucking basketball game would be on at 5 o'clock, like, on a one, like, the graphics and everything were so realistic that I thought he was actually watching a real NBA basketball game.
Yeah.
Because you had the running commentary.
Right.
The score would, you had the clock and everything on the bottom looked like you were watching a game on ESPN. It was ridiculous. Like, it wasn't until I walked in, I looked, and then I saw one of the players' cleats change color, that I was like, oh, he's playing a video game, because now, like, that's who he's controlling. Like, it was so ridiculous how lifelike and everything. And the players aren't they're not robots anymore. They're not they're lifelike.
Right, exactly. And
it's crazy.
That's the big thing, like, not to blitz through the disc era of video games, starting with PlayStation 2. Like, I think just the amount of, like, content that you could build into a sports game, like we just said, like, it's curated almost like it's cinema. The cut screens, all the information, first and foremost, all the information for all of these teams, throwbacks, stadiums, sound effects, coaches, whatever it may be, like, all of that's really built into it in a unique way, and it expands year after year after year. But all of that, at one point, at least, like, during those the console disc game times, it's all in there basically to give you that best experience, but to also say, hey, in another year or 2 years, this is gonna be the improved thing. You're right. You're saying, like, it looks like they nailed everything, but now they want to get authentic sounds from stadiums, and, like, that's going to be part of the next build. So each of the sports had We talked about Madden, we talked about NHL, touched on NBA, but you got that with MLB. It started back in the 90s for the MLB series, and that was really the first one that had like live announcers that had personality, that would call guys by name. It wouldn't just be pop up center fielder. So it wouldn't be sort of robotic and generic. Like you would get a little bit of nuance, or like you're starting to hear like it's Vin Scully and it's Dave Campbell, and they're sort of having this like ambient conversation like they would normally have in a game. And it's like, whoever thought about this just nailed everything perfectly. It's looking more like a broadcast, and now it's sounding more like a broadcast, and it's becoming a little bit more immersive year after year. So, that's the beauty of it.
When you were playing and Vin Scully was talking, and you were like, "Oh my God, he's really dull and boring."
Oh, come on.
It was like, "Wow, this is lifelike." I'm literally falling asleep listening to Vin Scully here, because nothing's better than hearing Vin Scully telling you what color socks the players are wearing when you're watching a game or when you're playing a game.
Está tranquillo. A few things to just touch on from just because it's on my mind from like the disc era. EA had FIFA Soccer. FIFA Soccer was addictive to me. 2003, 2004. I had the FIFA for PlayStation 2, and it was so good because you could play every league, right? I didn't have to buy a separate game for the Premiership or for MLS or for Bundesliga. Like everything was baked into one. You didn't have to do an expansion pack or anything like that. It was everything was built into that, and it made the gameplay, like it elevated the gameplay. Even if it was like, hey, there's another PlayStation game you should get that's way better because it only focuses on the Premiership, but you have to like get it from overseas and all this other stuff. It's like, no.
Well, that's
what I get in FIFA is perfect.
PlayStation 1 and 2 had David Beckham Soccer, and that was kind of like the thing was it was really Premiership driven.
Yeah.
Then you had World Cup Soccer.
Yes, which was internationally driven, right?
Yeah. FIFA was kind of the one that was like, if you want to play in the Bundesliga, you want to play in the Italian, like every team's going to be there.
Yeah.
The players are going to be like, and that was
awesome. Yeah. And it helped you learn the game a little bit more. And I think that's sort of key, especially like, if it, at that time, it's not readily available on TV all that much. And you want to watch and you want to learn like the nuances of players. You're actually getting a lot of that out of the video game. At least I did. So big ups to them.
FIFA, especially going forward, like when you have the emergence of guys like Messi and Ronaldo and stuff, like the emergence of soccer can also be added into FIFA Soccer. Like people who didn't even really like soccer were playing FIFA Soccer.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was helping build the actual, like people started paying more attention to the game, where like the NFL is king. It didn't really need Madden. Yeah. Madden, of course, helped. But yeah, like the increase in popularity in soccer, I think, can be really linked to FIFA's the video game.
Yeah, I had no doubt about that. I can attest to that. To kind of put a little bit of a wrap on this one.
The other thing with the disc era, which I always thought was very interesting, was the I don't want to say emergence or like the create whatever, but like release dates, like just like like hey, people wanted to know when albums were gonna come out and stuff. Like all of a sudden people wanted to like, what's the release date for Madden? When's the like and if you went by a GameStop or a Best Buy or whatever, that's so like that, you'd be like, why is there a crowd outside that? And you'd be like,
there's a new
Madden's coming out today, or this is coming out,
MLB The Show,
or a new game, or the new gaming system is PS whatever, or Xbox 2 is coming out. That like that's what the lot like That was always the interesting, I thought, for me, like, especially since me and you worked in that era, like that release dates for video games and systems were just as important and popular for like for movies and music and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. But there's just a couple things just to hit on before we wrap things up. A very underrated thing to the history of video games. I'm a golf fan. You know, I'm a golf fan. There's a relaxation to playing video game golf that is unparalleled. And listen, there's some pretty like brutal, like the early days, like there's some brutal Nintendo games, and even like Super Nintendo and Genesis games that like they just didn't hit it. But I think the games that were on the PC, probably because you know, again, you have like these courses that it takes a lot more memory to like build an 18-hole majestic like majors course and to have like a full roster of like 300 guys to select and play with. So it was more robust if you played on the PC up until, as we just said, EA Sports kind of figured out the algorithm. Tiger Woods, I think 98 or 99 is when Tiger Woods got EA Sports put out the Tiger Woods PGA Tour, and that was a huge thing. But it was like playing golf in real life is a very frustrating and futile job sometimes, or hobby if you want to call it that. But I think playing golf on computer can be so relaxing because you hear, you know, maybe you're going to get some commentary, but like sounds of nature and low clapping, it's almost like an ASMR. Like you just sort of get, you know, you're lulled into this game. So, and also like here's a big thing that like ties a couple different fringe sports in. Golden Tee, arcade Golden Tee and bar Golden Tee are juggernauts. That's almost like you don't even think it's a video game because it's a fixture in certain, you know, you go to a sports bar and they have like, if they used to have a pinball machine 40 years ago, nowadays it's like, all right, there should be a Golden Tee right here. Where's the Golden Tee and where's the Big Buck Hunter? Side by side, Big Buck Hunter and Golden Tee are the, you know, they're the Batman and Robin of stand-up video game systems that you can go around to anywhere, and if they're a big enough place, if they're a big enough bar, restaurant, even the freestanding arcades, they all have them, and they're all at some point during, you know, that week, or if it's really popular like that weekend, like you'll see somebody like hanging out and playing a little bit of Golden Tee or Big Buck Hunter. So yeah, I mean that's you know, that's something that deserves special recognition for sports games that are still out there and still playable.
Yeah, big game hunting game. You know, what is it, Caballos or whatever?
Yeah, Caballos. Yeah.
Came along. Certainly has come a long way from Duck Hunt on Nintendo. So.
That's right. Yeah. And when half the time the gun wouldn't work because the sensor wasn't pointed at the direct, you know, at the screen at the right angle, or you were too close, you had to stand back. It was
fucking dog would come out laughing at you.
The dog was an asshole. Where there would be like there's a glare from like there's you know, you didn't draw the shade, so like there's the sun's coming in that window with the wrong way, so your screen is like, you know, it's obstructed, so I can't shoot anything. Duck Hunt was a bit frustrating.
Do you remember there was a shooting game on the original Atari where it was like two cowboys on each side of the screen and there was a cactus in the middle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of the bullshit ways was you could actually shoot
the floor
at the bottom,
and it would come out the top. Yeah.
And it would bounce. I was like, bullets don't do that. If you shoot, like, come on, this is some bullshit stuff.
That was
shoot around. You would shoot around the cactus. It was like, come on.
That was in so there was a cowboy one, but then there was also combat on the original Atari that you would like, and the tank would basically, like, here's like just the sound, like constant sound of that tank, and then
Yep.
and then it's like boom boom, and it comes from the top of the screen and you shout. Whenever I would play my dad, he figured that little trick out first, and he would kill me every time, and I was like 8, and he would cackle. He would cackle that he figured that trick out, and he would kill me. He's like, you couldn't figure that out before me. But yeah, combat. One of these days we'll deep dive into shooting games and other video games. But is there anything else that you have on your notes that we might have missed?
No, I think we covered it. I mean, it would be amazing to, you think about, I mean, for someone mine and your age, like we're talking about Atari and being able to shoot from one side of the screen to the other to duck hunt.
Yeah.
To like now we're basically you can't tell whether you're watching a real life game or if it's a video game. Like where are we going? I mean,
where next? Where to?
When it was online gaming and like, you're allowed to talk to people and like I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. Like I'm guessing like virtual reality, like some sort of combination between like the Wii and some sort of VAR thing, but you're going to have licensing so that like you're playing a football game and you have to actually move your arm and throw, but you're throwing it to, Justin Jefferson, and when you're under center, like your offensive line is like the Minnesota Vikings and whoever you're playing, like
you're talking to you're almost talking to them directly.
So it's it's Vikings Packers. You're JJ McCarthy or whoever the quarterback is now of the Vikings, and you're looking over, and there's Micah Parsons just ready to come at you. I think that's if we're not there now, that's got to be within the next few years. I mean that's or like baseball. You're on the mound and you're like you're literally pitching to Pete Alonso or or Aaron Judge is up at the plate and you literally have to throw. You have to do the hand motion and everything. So that it's as realistic as possible.
Yeah, I think
that's where I would imagine that's got if you're not there now, that would probably be the. But then again, that would require you standing up and actually moving, and I don't know if a lot of video people like want to do that. So.
And I think I think there's a voice command element of that could work with a VR headset where you're voice commanding or you're doing like, again, just like a trigger button that you hold in your hand, not necessarily doing the arm motion. I think when the Wii came out, I think that's what they wanted to, because they were like, well, we've done everything that we could with all of these like physical games, and like now we want to, so Wii bowling was a lot of fun or tennis, like you could do that stuff, but they weren't selling that as a license to major sports. So I think the idea of like a virtual game where you have control over, a player in Major League Baseball, or you could see it from their point of view. I think that might be something that innovates. But bottom line is, I think it's, and to a point like where we were once saying like through the different consoles and the different like the video cartridges or discs or online play and just downloading the game and playing online. Like I think you sort of plateau for a while here where we are. Maybe it's artificial intelligence, like maybe that's the type of thing, but I think there's a lot of people that are just happy enough that they're like, hey, this is what I came for. Like I've learned on the sticks or the controllers or whatever it is. Like if you try and teach a brand new way of controlling everything, it would have to be voice or mind controlled. And then it becomes like, all right, well, then it's artificial. Then I programmed it as artificial intelligence, and it's intuitive to what I'm saying or thinking, or what I might speak into it. Hey, I want to throw this guy a fastball inside, and then that's what happens, right?
Well, that was always the thing with video games, was that it was supposed to be some sort of suspended reality. Like, okay, I just watched the Jets lose, so now I'm going to go put the video game on, and I'm going to
replay this game.
Well, I'm going to, I'm in franchise mode, so now I got all these awesome players, and I'm going to go win a Super Bowl being the Jets.
Yeah.
I'm never going to see that in real life. Or, hey, I'm a Yankees fan. Boone's a fucking idiot. I could totally win with this team. So I'm going to put on MLB The Show. And guess what? I'm not going to play Anthony Volpe. I'm going to put somebody else at shortstop. And I'm not going to bring Devin Williams in the 8th inning. Like, you know what I mean? That was the whole idea, was that like, I could totally out coach, or I could call all the, how many people like thought they were really a GM or a coach because they could, I audible out of this and blah. And it's just like, but that was the whole thing with video games, was just, you were supposed to, it was like some sort of weirdo reality, or this,
simulated reality.
It's in the world.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was, it was an escape from real sports, which real sports was supposed to be your escape.
Get inside your head.
But that wasn't good enough, because
I'm just that more depressed. My sports team let me down.
So now video games is supposed to be your escape from your escape. So now the next level, I guess, will be the escape from the escape from the escape.
Here's what's funny is, like, somebody would be like, hey, I have this great idea for this next innovation in video games. We're just going to teach all of these kids to like meet in one place. I don't know, a baseball field. And they can put on like the jersey of their favorite player, and they can, like, if they want to be Aaron Judge and he plays first base, they can be Aaron Judge playing first base. And then, hey, do you want to learn how to swing like Aaron Judge? I'll show you how to swing like Aaron Judge. And, like, it goes back to, like, the next innovation is kids will actually go out and play baseball in real life.
Yeah. Or my favorite was hearing about, through different people, like where, oh yeah, my son's playing Pop Warner or whatever it is, and it'd be like, oh yeah, how's it going? Coach is an idiot. He uses all the plays from Madden. And he goes, the dumbass doesn't realize that everybody plays Madden, and that the opposing coach is probably using the defense from Madden to stop whatever plays. So the kids would actually get a playbook, and it would be like the same plays, running plays, and all this shit and the lines that it was in the video game. So.
I got a second way to practice. I can just pick up my controller and get the extra work in.
All right, kids, extra credit for go home and have Penn. You're going to play as Penn State against Oregon.
Yeah, you have to get to the Citrus Bowl.
I want you to learn the Chip Kelly offense.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, listen, if it comes down to it, where kids are actually like not playing the video games, but they've been tricked to like go out to a field and pretend that they're the player, I want half properties on that one.
There's going to be like a baseball franchise mode where it will not allow, like, you could go back and play like the '88 Yankees, and you're not allowed to trade Jay Buhner.
Yeah. Wow. Frank Costanza would be happy about that.
You can't. It won't let you like. I'm the '88 Mets. I don't know why, but they're not allowing me to bring Greg Jeffries up from the minor leagues.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm blocked from making bad mistakes. Wow. All right. Well, that's our look through the years of sports video games. We hope you guys enjoyed our trip down memory lane. As I said, if there were games that you played or things that you remember about certain games that we talked about that we didn't touch upon, I'm sure there's a lot of gaps. We didn't talk about Nintendo 64. I know there's a lot of other fringe sports. We're gonna hear it from the wrestling community that we didn't talk about wrestling games.
What was the disc game that Sega put? What was their system?
Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
Sega Saturn, and they had Sega Dreamcast as well.
Dreamcast.
Yeah.
So any of the few people who bought those,
come at us.
Is my question for the audience, and you can answer this on the social medias. Mm-hmm. Is Paperboy a sports game?
No, of course it's not.
You're riding a bike. You're throwing things.
Yeah, but you're not doing it in a competition. You're doing it to do your little job.
It's funny because I asked that of the audience, and then you answer.
I answer. So I'm the voice of the audience. Here's a better question.
No, you're not.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Is Tony Hawk Pro Skater a video game? A sports video game? Okay.
Well, of course it's a video game.
Well, a sports video game, though.
Of course.
Okay. All right.
So is like the Olympics. It more importantly for you is beer, is Tapper. Is that a sports?
It's not. Oh, it should be. It should be. That poor guy getting thrown. Again, there's going to be follow-ups. We're going to have other video game content.
In your version, though, it's not chilled mugs of beer. It's little cans of Michelob Ultra going down the.
They probably fly down there pretty quickly.
And and randomly, you just hear like in the go May. Like in the background.
yeah, exactly. All right, very good. We wrap this episode up in a nice little bow. On behalf of the captain, on his side of things, this is Mike Madden, not John Madden, but Mike Madden on my side of things. We hope you guys have a great night. We will see you next week for a brand new episode. We'll leave here with the sounds of breast bonanza, as you would hear at your favorite Hartford Whalers game when they scored a goal. See you till next week.
Boom shakalaka.